Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Hello there guys, it's Joel here, Gallucks, and welcome back to my YouTube channel today for an interesting topic. I recently got asked on an Instagram story Q&A what I thought of the old money aesthetic. I felt like I needed more time to talk about this rather than just like one Instagram story frame. So this video is going to be all about the old money aesthetic and why I think it's kind of dumb. Before I get into this, I just want to say that I feel like all trends or aesthetics can be done well or not so well. It's all in the execution. And I feel like in my experience as a content creator, especially here on YouTube, I've made videos in the past where it's been like trends that I love or trends that I hate. And you come to realize that trends that you hate can be done well. Like you can do them in your own way, you can put your own spin on them and you can make them your own. And also trends that you love can also be done badly. So it's very open to interpretation. There are a few things wrong with this trend though that we will get to by the end of the video, I promise, that will make you realize why this one is kind of silly. I am fascinated by like trends, aesthetics, subcultures. Me, myself, being a part of the one last true subculture, which was the emo/scene subculture, which I actually feel was probably the start of the end for subcultures, because the way that technology has evolved and the internet and the online space has evolved, we've kind of erased all of the possibilities of those like true and genuine subcultures because we're in such like a trend-led online space that moves so quickly. But I feel like emo/scene was, the end and the beginning. So the end of the true subculture and the beginning of like different aesthetics trends, because obviously now we go through trends and aesthetics at a ridiculous speed due to like overconsumption of content here online. It was already bad and then TikTok came and just like pushed us over the edge, and now it's just like our attention span and our willingness to commit to something, especially like back in the day, some people would be like stick to that subculture their entire lives. That would be their way of living. And now it's like maybe we'll be old money for a few weeks until we move on to like opium aesthetic, and then we'll move on to like cottagecore, and people kind of just cycle through things and wear trends or aesthetics as kind of because they're hot right now, if you know what I mean. Whereas if you were like a goth back in the day, you were probably a goth for a very long time. Maybe even still to this day. Anyway, that is a completely different video. Today we're focusing on the old money aesthetic, so let's get into it. So one of the most annoying things about this trend is that, one of the most annoying things in general at the moment is that we seem to be repackaging and repurposing already made trends or aesthetics and just giving them a new name because it sounds more aesthetic. I think I heard of old money for the past like 2 to 3 years, whereas quiet luxury, which I also think is very similar or the same to old money, only really spawned this year from the TV show Succession, which I've not seen, by the way, but I have seen clips, especially the one with the guy and the Burberry handbag. So I think our problem is that we are coining new terms and phrases all the time and attributing them to a certain aesthetic, which we already had. In my eyes, old money, quiet luxury, stealth wealth all refer back to specific styles such as preppy, sartorial, and classy. If you Google like classy menswear, sartorial style, or men's preppy clothing, I know there are like slight differences between each one, but I feel like that's the general consensus for old money and stealth wealth. Like it's a mix of those three. And I feel like Quiet luxury has been a buzzword this year for sure, especially within the fashion industry kind of zeitgeist. Whether you like it or not, it's obviously very popular. And I know for some people it's probably not that deep, like it's just another trend, like it will come and go, whatever, like trends happen all the time. You know, maybe it's not that deep, maybe it's just a guy scrolling TikTok and he stumbles upon the old money aesthetic. He was looking for help on how to dress, so now he's kind of adapted it into his wardrobe. It gives him like a ready-made color palette. You know, he teaches him how to style a pair of chinos with like a white linen shirt, and he's good to go, and he feels comfortable and confident, and that is great. I'm not knocking anyone who wants to indulge in the trend or even like adapt it for themselves. I feel like I just want to pick apart why it's popular, what it means, and why it's stupid. I just checked, and at the time of writing, the old money hashtag on TikTok has 8.6 billion videos. That is a hell of a lot of videos. Like I said, it's been circulating for a few years now, this like trend hashtag. So, but it seems to be bubbling up. It bubbles up every year, but this year I feel like it's bubbled up the most. To the point where it's like, I could be scrolling and my algorithm thinks that I'm interested in it. And I'm like, whoa, hold the phone here. Like, when did I ever suggest to any of my algorithms that I wanted to see this? Personally, for me, I'm not interested in the aesthetic whatsoever. I feel like there are ways I could interpret it into my style, obviously. But the whole like cosplaying as rich or like wanting to be understated, like, I don't know. It feels very forced to me, and I don't really co-sign. I don't want to jump on board. I'm opting out of old money. So yeah, at the time of writing, the old money hashtag on TikTok has 8.6 billion views. It contains a lot of videos featuring attractive young people impeccably dressed and lounging in stunning locations. Even the shows that we talk about, e.g. Succession or Gossip Girl, are talked about online in the context of quiet luxury and old money. When many facets of this aspirational life are unattainable, the look, in many ways, is not. So, good news if you want to cosplay as a member of the royal family, you don't have to be an heir to the throne to do so. I read an article on Harper's Bazaar, and they interviewed the brand manager of Depop. If you don't know what Depop is, it's a marketplace where you can sell your secondhand clothes. She said, "Today, the trend is more about an emphasis on quality and craftsmanship rather than high-priced luxury items, whether that's from secondhand heritage brands or up-and-coming designers. The old money aesthetic is easily molded to many personalities whilst being practical and conscious-minded, especially easy to achieve in a circular fashion economy. Secondly, subcategories of the old money aesthetic, like American prep, can be easily replicated with much more accessible brands like Ralph Lauren, La Mer, Aimé Leon Dore, and Alan Edmonds." I obviously see like the trickle-down effect because quite a few male fashion influencers that I follow are very inspired by the Aimé Leon Dore aesthetic, which is like a hybrid of old money mixed with streetwear, which kind of like counteracts what it's saying in the first place. That aesthetic isn't for me. I appreciate it, and I think it's like been an evolution of like, I guess, minimalist dressing, minimalist streetwear, I guess, and then it kind of evolved into this Aimé Leon Dore movement, like vintage cars, open collar shirts, baseball caps, New Balance, like all that kind of thing. So I think like that's been a natural progression into that kind of vibe, but obviously not as conservative as the old money aesthetic itself. Whatever you want to call it, old money, quiet luxury, or stealth wealth, they're all just buzzwords for a TikTok rebrand of preppy, sartorial, or classy style. The term old money refers to a style, lifestyle, or cultural ethos associated with families or individuals who have traditionally held significant wealth and social status for several generations. The term is often used in contrast to new money, which refers to individual families who have recently acquired their wealth and may display it more ostentatiously. The aesthetic itself is not anything new. The visuals indicate wealth and history. Visual cues associated with old money include things like mansions, Hermes Birkin bag, fresh flowers, horses, tennis court, large swimming pools, antique cars, paintings of ancestors, private schools, members clubs, and exotic animals. That being said, fashion in the old money aesthetic usually includes tailored suits, classic dresses, polo shirts, and loafers. Neutral and earth tones, as well as darker, rich colors, are commonly seen. The aim is to look effortlessly elegant and comfortable in your clothing, delivering well-made garments that will stand the test of time. Accessories also play a key role, with a preference for classic timeless pieces like pearl necklaces, leather handbags, and luxury watches. Today, achieving the old money look does not necessarily require an ancestral mansion or a luxury yacht. The aesthetic is more accessible than ever thanks to online shopping. So why is the old money aesthetic, stealth wealth, quiet luxury so popular right now? And I feel like it is a counter swing to, I feel like the pendulum's swung so far one way for so long that we had, like the rise of celebrity culture, Kardashians, logomania, Y2K, the 90s, the resurgence of all these kinds of trends has gone on for so long that the pendulum has swung the other way. And now people are wanting to be more understated and, dress more conservatively and kind of romanticize their own life rather than aspiring to be the new money celebs driving around in like futuristic sports cars and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's swung the other way. I have a little list of other reasons as well. So one of them is the counterbalance to fast fashion. So in contrast to the fast-paced, disposable nature of modern fashion, the old money aesthetic emphasizes quality, durability, and timelessness. This resonates with individuals seeking to move away from the cycle of constant consumption and focus on investing long-lasting pieces. And romanticism, like I said before, minimalism and simplicity. The old money's trend focus on minimalism and elegance resonates with those seeking to declutter their lives and embrace a more mindful and intentional approach to fashion and lifestyle. A cultural appeal, the old money aesthetic draws inspiration from historic European and American upper-class fashion, which holds a certain allure due to its association with refinement, tradition, and cultural heritage, and a rejection of flashiness. So the trend reflects a rejection of overconsumption and excessive branding that is often associated with new money or celebrity culture. Instead, it promotes an elegant and reserved approach to fashion. But while it has its merits, there are also potential drawbacks and negatives associated with this trend. The first one being exclusivity and inaccessibility. Quiet luxury often involves high luxury materials and craftsmanship, which can lead to elevated price points. This exclusivity can make these products financially inaccessible to a broader range of consumers, reinforcing class divides and limiting access to those who can afford it. Next up, subtle branding as a status symbol. Some quiet luxury brands use their understated branding as a form of exclusivity. Recognizing and appreciating these subtle markers of luxury can become a new way of signaling one's social status, leading to the creation of a new elite class. For example, like one of the things listed on the visualizers of this trend was an Hermes Birkin bag. And whilst an Hermes Birkin bag, when you look at it, is very understated, when you see it, or if someone is carrying it, that is a signifier of wealth and status because it's such an expensive bag and they're so difficult to obtain. It's kind of doing the opposite of what it sets out to do, because that in itself is flashy and obnoxious, because it's like you have to have a certain amount of money to be able to buy that bag, and then you have to be a certain type of shopper to be able to even have the chance to buy that bag. Wearing that bag in itself is doing the opposite of what it is intended to do, if you know what I mean. Personalization of fashion. So quiet luxury's emphasis on timeless and enduring pieces discourage individuality and self-expression through fashion. Personal style often evolves through experimentation, which might be constrained by a trend that values uniformity and restraint. Disconnection from cultural identity. So in the pursuit of a universal appeal, quiet luxury trends ignore or dilute cultural influences and unique identities. This can lead to a homogenized fashion landscape that lacks the rich diversity of global cultures. So what that point was trying to say is that the old money aesthetic has tunnel vision when it comes to what is deemed elegant or timeless, because it's restricted to what was seen as elegant or timeless to the upper class in America or Europe in the past. Whereas in places like India or China, for example, wealth signifiers might be completely different, and it doesn't really take that into account in the old money aesthetic because it's very, like I said, tunnel vision of the West. So kind of taking everything into account, like I kind of understand the aesthetic. I hope we all are on the same page of what the aesthetic is and we kind of understand where it's coming from. And it even has some great points. But I wrote a little conclusion here, and I just want to say, although the core values of the old money aesthetic, such as quality over quantity and timeless pieces, are great concepts, unfortunately, at the end of the day, it is still a TikTok trend. And people are treating it just like that, just like any other trend. They're trying to replicate the style for a fraction of the price. You can see brands like Shein and Boohoo offering old money trend pages on how you can adapt the style yourself through the fast fashion portals. Or we see people that are actually taking it seriously and are investing in the old money brands, but in the loudest way possible. And I think the Hermes Birkin bag is like that too. Like, it's like, oh, I want to be old money, so I have to get an Hermes Birkin bag so everybody knows that I look old money. The fact that it is a trend in itself undermines the whole concept that it's kind of built on. And I think a lot of people are missing the mark on this one. And that is why I think it's dumb. You can dress how you want. You can do what you want, whatever. I just think the whole idea of the old money aesthetic as like a trend is silly because it just goes against everything that it stands for itself, if you know what I mean. That's all I had to say. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed like deep diving into different aesthetics or trends. So if you do want me to discuss any other aesthetics or trends, just leave them in the comments below. Subscribe if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.